Welcome to The Becomings. History is not a static tomb of dead facts. It is a living, breathing process of a nation constantly reinventing its very soul. Today, as the world watches the smoke rise over Tehran in this dark March of 2026, we ask a question that has haunted every conqueror for 5,000 years. How does a nation refuse to die? To understand the fire of the present, we must return to the dust of the beginning. This is the story of how a nomadic tribe became the world's first superpower, and why their ancient code of light and shadow still dictates the wars of the 21st century. For millennia, the greatest empires in the world made the exact same fatal mistake. They marched onto the Iranian Plateau with swords drawn, absolutely certain they could wipe this civilization off the face of the earth. But they were marching into a fortress of the mind. 50,000 years ago, Neanderthals dominated these crags, replaced 36,000 years ago by Cro-Magnon. But the real revolution began 7,000 years ago in places like the Jiroft culture. Long before the Persians were a household name, there was Elam. Centered in the city of Susa, the Elamites were the architects of global order. In the 23rd century before Christ, the Elamite state didn't just fight, they negotiated. They signed the first documented international treaty in human history with the Akkadian king Naram-Sin. Think about that. While much of the rest of the world was struggling with basic agriculture, the people of the plateau were already inventing the concept of foreign policy. Then, the world shifted. Between the 20th and 15th centuries before Christ, nomadic tribes began to descend from the north, from the steppes of Central Asia and the Caucasus. They called themselves the Aryans, meaning the noble ones. They brought a language that is a direct ancestor to Latin, Greek, and the very English I am speaking to you now. They split into two great alliances, the Medes and the Persians. But their greatest export wasn't gold or horses. It was an idea. A man named Zoroaster looked at the chaos of the world and saw a cosmic battlefield. He founded Zoroastrianism. He taught that the universe was locked in an uncompromising war between Ahura Mazda, the transcendent god of light and truth, and Ahriman, the spirit of absolute evil and lies. For the ancient Iranian, time was not a circle. It was a straight line. It had a beginning, a middle, and an inevitable end. A final purification by fire and a last judgment. This concept of linear time flowed into Judaism, then Christianity, and finally Islam. Every time you think about the end of times, you are thinking in a Persian coordinate system. In 550 before Christ, Cyrus the Great did what no one else could. He united the Medes and the Persians and built the Achaemenid Empire. He was the first leader to realize that you cannot rule a world-spanning empire through fear alone. When he conquered Babylon, he didn't burn the city. He walked into the temples and honored their gods. He issued the Cyrus Cylinder, the first declaration of human rights, freeing the Jews from their Babylonian captivity. Under his successor, Darius the Great, the empire became a machine of efficiency. He built the Royal Road, a 2,000-mile highway that allowed a message to travel across the empire in 7 days, a speed unheard of until the invention of the telegraph. He introduced the daric, a gold coin that became the world's first global currency. This was a superpower that governed 50 million people, half of the human race at the time. Western history often frames the Greco-Persian Wars as a clash between freedom and tyranny. But to the Achaemenid superpower, the Greek skirmishes at Marathon and Salamis were fringe border disputes. The Persians were masters of the long game. When they couldn't win with a spear, they won with a purse. They funded Athens to fight Sparta, then Sparta to fight Athens, effectively turning Greece into a collection of Persian client states without losing a single immortal soldier. But where is that diplomacy today? It is March 31st, 2026. The world has changed. The tolerance of Cyrus has been replaced by the tension of the nuclear age. Under the banner of Operation Epic Fury, the shadow war has finally become a direct one. In the last 72 hours, precision strikes have targeted the drone manufacturing hubs in Isfahan. The ancient war between light and dark is being fought with ballistic missiles. The tragedy of 2026 is the loss of the middle way. The Cyrus cylinder sits in a museum, while the leaders of today speak only of red lines and total destruction. As we look at the ruins of modern infrastructure, we see a nation once again forced to choose between its noble past and its volatile present. The Achaemenid peace was a miracle of its time, a blueprint for global governance that the world has never truly forgotten. But history does not tolerate a vacuum, and the greatest empire the world had ever seen was about to meet its match in a young king from the West who didn't want to rule the world. He wanted to be it. In our next episode, the survival mechanism is put to its ultimate test as the iron frontier of Persia meets the steel of Rome. Don't go anywhere. The becoming of an eternal nation has only just begun. This is The Becomings.